Alright YouTube, today's video is a bit of a different video, one that we haven't done before. We've got a job to paint, so it's just going to be a painting video. But the apprentice, Reese, is going to be painting this one. So I'm going to oversee it, obviously, and but he's going to paint it. So it's 2K direct gloss, this job, and he's done the whole of this job from start to finish. So I'll give you a quick look at what we're doing. It's not a massive amount to paint, but it's quite substantial. So it's an old Vauxhall Astra estate, and we're doing the front bumper. Front bumper was scraped and chipped on both sides and just a bit tatty. So Reese has stripped it all, took everything off of it, prepared it all, done the repairs. He's primed it, so he put the primer on as well, and he's prepared all the primer, and that's finished off in 500 grit. And then also a little dog leg repair on this quarter panel. So we're only going up to the feature line, keeping it small. But again, he's done all that. There's a couple of little creases through there that he used the pulling machine on. He pulled it out, filled it, primed it, prepped it, and then prepped the primer and masked it all up. So he's done this whole job. I haven't done any of this at all. So he's got it ready for painting now. So yeah, he's gonna have a go at painting it, ain't you, mate?
Yep, give it a bash.
He's got his brand new Mipa overalls on. He looks the part.
Yeah, all the gear. He's
got all the gear, and I don't know if he's got any idea. We'll soon find out anyway. So yeah, we're gonna do this in Mipa OC. I've done a handful of Mipa OC jobs on the channel, and I normally use the HS hardener in it because it gives a better gloss, but it can be quite tricky to apply using that HS hardener. I have to over thin it and play about with the gun settings, increasing the pressure to get it where it's such a sort of thick, concentrated product. It's like a one coat product, really. I have to manipulate it, and you know, I struggle myself getting it to lay down nice. So what we're gonna use in this one instead is going to use the medium solid hardener in it. So the MS, it makes the gloss not so good, and it can wash out the colour a little bit, so it doesn't cover as well with the MS hardener in there, but it's definitely more user friendly to apply. So that's what we're going to use in this one. Use the MS hardener in it, so he hasn't got to mess about trying to change things. It's going to be hard for him to change things if he's never done it before. So it makes it just a bit more user friendly, like I say, with that hardener in it. Probably the end results aren't so good with it, but it's okay for this job. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. So we're going to get it all degreased. So I'm going to get him to do the procedure that I normally do, you know, get all the degreasing done, all the blowing off done, and then get the paint mixed in the gun, and then yeah, and then we'll get some paint on it, and yeah, obviously video it, and I'll oversee it all, and yeah, we'll see how he gets on. Alright YouTubes, so yeah, this is first time Reese has ever
put any paint on anything. He's done a bit of primer work. He's sort of handled the spray gun a little bit. He's got a little bit of experience handling the spray gun, and he can put primer on. So I'm sort of just giving him an explanation of how to go about covering breaking the bumper down into sections, and make sure that one section's good before you move on. So I wound the fluid in quite a bit, so it was restricted, so we could just do full trigger most of the time. The spraying technique is a balance of feathering the trigger in certain areas, and to be honest with you, a bumper's probably not the easiest thing to be painting as your first paint job. So there's lots of areas to consider, lots of areas where you can double up and build up with paint. So I've sort of chucked him in the deep end really, but he's primed bumpers all over, and he's got a bit of awareness of how to pull the trigger and different severities of pulling the trigger, how the fluid comes out. But obviously top coat's a little bit different to apply with primer. Primer's more of a thicker product, and less susceptible for running. But when I've told him how to prime stuff, I've sort of said to him, look at the finish you're getting with the primer. He's got a good visual eye for paint finishes and orange peel, so I'll get him to look at the primer, when it's wet, looking for that, that orange peel, to know that he's got enough on there and it's not dry. 2K direct gloss on a bumper. This isn't the easiest paint to apply, the Mipa OC, to be honest with you, and he was really nervous, to be honest with you, but he done really well. Just got, you got to get that muscle memory, and applying the top coat was a completely different ball game for him than applying primer. It doesn't matter if you make mistakes in primer, you're going to be flattening it. You can add more to it. If you get runs in it, you're going to be blocking them out. I'm just trying to talk him through it as he goes, making him aware of areas to get the paint onto, so he doesn't miss everything. Sort of just trying to guide him into breaking it down into certain sections. But it was a bit awkward for him in there. He needed that bumper in the booth on its own really, so he could just get round it without bumping into the car and all the rest of it. So I didn't make it the easiest for him, and he does feel a bit nervous when I'm there with him. I leave him alone now to prime the bumpers when he does priming, and he primes spot primes, repairs and stuff, and I leave him to it. I don't even go and watch him, but when I look at the when he's put primer on a job, he puts a decent amount on, and it's all consistent, and and he's following the procedures properly, the way he applies the coats and the mixing of it and all the rest of it. This was Mipa OC. We put the medium solid hardener in it, like I said, just makes it a little bit user friendly. It sort of restricts how much it flows with the MS hardener in there. It's not as bulky and it's not as heavy with the MS hardener in there. No thinners in it neither, so it's sort of it's not as susceptible to running. Whereas when I use the high solid hardener in that OC, I over thin it quite a bit to get it to flow, So stuck with the MS hardener for this, but he's just taking his time. He's making sure he's getting every area. Like I say, I haven't made it easy for him there with the car being in the way. It's all about your body positioning as well, especially on a bumper on a stand. You've got to think about where you're stood in relation to where you're putting the paint on. It doesn't help when you don't know these body positions. I have to adapt to your environment. My spray booth's small. I adapt my body to certain areas of a panel because I may be restricted on space. So it's just a muscle memory. I can move my body into certain positions and angle my arm and wrists to get that paint on there how I want it to get on there. I'm constantly adapting, but it's just a muscle memory thing, and he hasn't got that. So yeah, it is, you know, it's difficult for him. Like I say, maybe it would have been better just to have a bumper on its own, or just a flat panel on its own, but this was the job we picked, and seeing as he'd done all the work right up to this point, I thought it was only fitting for him to be putting the top coat on. But he's doing okay. He's taking his time. He's just checking every area, making sure he's not putting too much on, or you know, he's making sure that he has got enough on as well. And yeah, all them little nooks and crannies on a bumper. There's a lot to think about on a bumper, to be honest with you. They're probably, you know, the more difficult panels to paint on a car. Bumper is one of the more difficult panels, because there's so many areas that you've got to make sure that you've covered and you've got a decent finish on, you know. Even now I do a bumper and there may be one little edge I didn't get quite enough material on there, and it may be a visible edge as well. So yeah, there is a lot to think about on bumpers. And yeah, that's him on the first coat. And yeah, it was like a proud dad moment for me. I was you know, really pleased to see him with a spray gun in his hand, applying paint to a job that he's done from the beginning. He's done every aspect of this job. I haven't touched this job, so yeah, yeah, I was quite stoked to see him doing it. He's on the second coat now. Just got, you know, you can talk someone through spraying, you can keep talking them through it, but at the end of the day, you need to, you know, you've got to let them stand back and just get a feel for it, you know. Let them make the mistakes. That's, you know, that's the best way I sort of learned how to spray, was making a lot of mistakes, and I was fortunate enough, worked, you know, at a variety of different places through my learning years, and you know, good 10 years of before I got consistent at painting. It's good 10 years into my career, my apprenticeship, which is to me was a similar setup to me really, a one-man band. Had all sorts of things to spray there. Got chucked in at the deep end there, done my first respray. That was on a self-prepared car by a customer on a Mini, and I was allowed to paint the whole car, and it didn't matter how it turned out. And I'd done that when I was 15 years old, so that was my first sort of experience of spraying. Was on a full respray. So I got chucked in the deep end, and yeah, like I say, you got to learn by your mistakes in this. You need to make them mistakes, go, oh right, where did I go wrong there? I put too much on there, or I didn't put enough on there. And it's those things that are gonna build your consistency up with the gun in your hand, you know. And then muscle memory will start kicking in. Then once you get a few you know, decent results out of the gun, you think, oh, you know, that went on just how I wanted it to go on, and you sort of build on that. And you're still going to make mistakes. We all do. Still make mistakes now. You get a little bit complacent, and you're going to make mistakes, and you have to sort of readjust and go back to a drawing board sometimes with it. But there's a lot of factors involved with distance, the material, you know, your gun setup. All these factors, you know, need to be tweaked depending on the products, your environment. There's a lot of factors involved, you know. So yeah, initially I just wanted him to get a coat on there. I didn't care whether he got runs in it, or the whole thing had to be flat and polished, or you know, even if it had to be recoated. But I think he was a little bit nervous, and I told him to get this out of his mind. And sort of when we spoke about it afterwards, he was just worried that if he messes up this job, it's going to cost me money. And I said to him, I'm already expecting the job to be done again, you know, like, don't think about the money. If it costs money to rectify a job that you've sprayed, it's well worth the investment, and I'll keep putting money into that, you know. I'll keep spending that money for you to make mistakes. This job was fine for it to go wrong. It could be redone. It's not, you know. And I said to him, you need to get that out of your head, you know. Don't worry about any mistakes that you make, or anything's got to be redone. You know, that's part and parcel of learning. You know, it's an investment. I need to put money into it, and you're not going to learn until, you know, unless you start making some mistakes. And yeah, and it, you know, he's my son, and it, you know, and he worries about the business and the financial side of things to it, because he sees it day in, day out. And yeah, I said to him, you know, forget about that. It's you know, it doesn't matter what it costs, you know. It's, you know, the cost is a well worth investment if I can turn you into a, you know, a decent paint sprayer. So yeah, you know, I found it really touching that he was worried about, you know, if the job went wrong, it would cost me money. And yeah, you know, it's not about that. I want him to make the mistakes, you know. Anything can be rectified. It's not a problem, you know. And you know, we'll pick and choose the right jobs for it as well. You know, there was no pressure on this job. Like I say, it got to this point, being direct gloss, you know, single colour, single stage colour. I thought it was ideal for him to. He wasn't expecting it. We weren't planning on him painting this, but once he got to the point where it was all ready for me to spray, I just let it loose on him and said to him, "You're spraying this one," and that's the route we went down. And he done really well. He done really well. The paint looked decent on that bumper. To be honest with you, we probably would. It would require a bit of a flat. It was clean as a whistle. The preparation was brilliant. The repairs was brilliant. There was no dirt in it or contamination. I say that OC, it's not the easiest to apply. It's hard to get a real decent wet finish out of it. And it's just a little bit dry, which you know, he's been on the cautious side there, which is brilliant, that he's being cautious, he's being conscious of getting runs and stuff like that. And just in some areas like the top of that bumper, it would have required a bit of flat and polishing, which is not an issue. You know, I've worked with painters over my career that's how they got their jobs. They wouldn't get a gun finish. Their jobs would come out nice, but they would do it with the flatten and polishing, and that's how some painters are, you know. And it's not an issue to have to flat and polish it to manipulate the finish, just to take a bit of bit of a dry film out of a job. To flat and polish it is not a problem at all. So he got to the end of this job. Like I said, it was decent. First time of him spraying, was over the moon. There's no dirt in it. Everything was covered, and it would look fine. We'd just been a bit of flat and polishing on some faces, like the top of that bumper. Just a bit of nibbing down, bit 2,000, 3,000, just to brighten up that gun finish a little bit. Not an issue. So yeah, all good. But I said to him, you know, we've got a choice here. He applied all the paint to it. We left it for sort of half an hour. I left it on a low bake at about 40 degrees, and we looked at it, and I said to him, we've got two choices here. Can flat and polish that bumper, which he's more than capable of doing, just to get that finish, you know, a little bit more factory looking, which was an issue. I said, or we can try one more thing. We stick a coat of clear coat over it, give you a little go with another gun, and also have a go with some clear coat, because clear coat applies quite differently to that Mipa OC. So yeah, we debated it, we worked it out in time, what would it be. I said we can go straight on with clear coat on that, we won't need to key it or anything. So yeah, that's what we decided. We looked at it, spoke about it, and I said let's mix some clear coat up. Let's just give it one coat of clear coat, and it'll give you another little bit more gun time on this job, and we'll see what the results are from that. So yeah, we've come back in with some clear coat now. So Mipa CX2, the car had sort of pretty much dried off, had a little bit of tack to the paint still. And I'm just sort of showing him on one corner, sort of just how wet to get it really, and if he can sort of, you know, replicate what I put on that corner, and then just talking him through how to break that bumper down into sections. I said to him, you know, if it's too much of a struggle to reach across a bigger section, split that section in half, and yeah, you know, showing him about triggering off, and his overlaps, you know, getting his overlaps right, which, you know, like I say, it's difficult on a bumper, but it's a little bit of a different ball game with that CC and clear coat. So I walked out and I thought I'd just leave him to it, let him put it on there, let him do his thing, let him work out where he needs to go, where he needs to trigger off. You know, it's the only way really. You can talk it as much as you want to talk it, but you just got to get on and do it yourself. And yeah, you know, this experience, isn't it? Once you gain enough experience, you should be, you know, somewhere handy with it. So I've come back in, and yeah, he's got a run just above that recess where the fog light goes, and it's sort of broken his heart a little bit. He's got disheartened now because of what's happened, and I said to him, "Don't worry about it. Just keep going." You know, you need to do this. You need to get dry spots. You need to get runs. You need to get all sorts of stuff happening. So I'm, you know, saying to him, don't worry about it, we'll leave that run for a minute. Let's get the clear coat over the rest of it. Keep carrying on, you know, trying to help him not to lose confidence in it. Like I say, he's just worried that it's you know, going to cost money and ruin the job. And you know, I said to him, don't worry about it. It's not something you need to concern yourself about. So yeah, just carrying on now. The clear coat's an easier product to apply. It goes on there wetter and goes on there, you know, faster. And obviously, you know, he's gone from one spray gun to another. So they do that CC gun sprays different to the a 5000 Satajet 5000 with 1.20 was what we was putting the 2K direct gloss on with, and this is 1.3 cc. So yeah, they are different. They're different beasts. And when you've got no experience of any guns, it's hard to adapt to different ways that a spray gun will spray like. So yeah, when you've got no experience of trying different guns, you can't adapt your spray into it. So yeah, I think, you know, where we sort of, I said to him, you know, let's try and get the finish a bit wetter in the clear coat. It's sort of gone the other way now. That's, you know, that's what, you know, how he ended up overloading it a little bit, but it wasn't bad at all. Yes, you know, distance plays a critical role, especially a bumper with shapes and stuff. You know, to maintain that consistent distance around all the different shapes is you know, it's really tricky if you've never done it before. Keeping that distance consistent over every shape that you're trying to apply paint to. So yeah, he done really well. It come out well, to be honest with you. For first time of applying top coat on a, you know, on a panel like that, he done really well. And it won't take him long, I don't think, before he gets a bit more relaxed and a bit more natural, and he stops worrying. He's gonna, you know, if he stops worrying about the other side of things. So yeah, he done really well. Where the runs are, there's a run on that corner there where I'm just put a bit more on. We're just talking through how we applied it and the different areas. We're just fluffing over a couple of little bits. The rest of it is you know, that's it. That's his gun finish on that. And so yeah, what I'm going to do now, while the clear coat's still wet, I'm just going to do the old flood out that run with some fade out, and it works. If you've got a bad run in a coat and the product's still wet, you need it to be able to run off of an edge. So where he had that run around that recess, I should have zoomed in really, but I was in a bit of a rush. It's sort of like, you know, it was a hanger. It was like loads of little runs all dripping down, so it was a few drips, probably about 4 or 5 inches long, but all round that edge where that recess is. So you can flood it out. So that's what I was doing. It's just getting fade out thinner, flooding it out, let the fade out thinner melt into it, let it start dripping down, and as it drips down, keep wiping off the excess until it flows out. And it will flow out with fade out. The fade out thinner trick on a wet run works as long as you've got somewhere, an area for it to drip off of, or somewhere that you can catch the paint as it floods out, catch the clear coat as it floods out. And it works well. It's okay on this because it's got semi-wet direct gloss underneath it. You know, sometimes if you've got a base coat under it, the fade out may start affecting the base coat, so you have to be careful with that. But with this, having direct gloss under it that was you know, sort of half cured anyway, it worked fine. So, you know, there's another run hanging on that low bit of that bumper there. So I just flood some fade out thinner on it, let it melt in, let it start flowing and dripping off the bottom, blow off the excess at the bottom, wipe the excess off, and keep flooding it out. And it almost completely disappeared, them runs. And this trick works. Like I say, you have to be careful on base coating areas, because the only thing you can't do if you flood out a run like this is flatten polishing it, because you will go straight through. The only other option is to let it sit after you flooded it out, and then obviously apply another coat. But we didn't on that. But yeah, flooded the runs out. It wasn't an issue. He got a little bit upset about it, but it was fine. We got round it, and the job looked fine. Looks absolutely perfect on the car. There was no issues with it whatsoever. We didn't even have to flatten polish any of it. It all come out the gun, went on the car, and it was all good. So yeah, the boy done really well. I was really pleased for him. And yeah, he was more impressed with how the fade out thinners got the runs out more than anything, because he hadn't seen anything like that before. And yeah, he couldn't believe that putting the fade out thinner over them wet runs got rid of it. So yeah, that's it for this video. Yeah, hope you enjoyed watching it. I'm not sure if Reese enjoyed making this video, but I enjoyed it, and it was great to see him on the gun. And yeah, thanks for watching, really appreciate it, and we'll see you again in the next one. Look after yourselves. Cheers.